Attention, your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston Country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast. I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you are celebrating or were celebrating. I hope you had a very happy time with family and loved ones. Or if you're just with yourself, hopefully you had a good time by yourself. It's true that this is a very lonely time of year, and many people don't have families to go to or friends to see for whatever reason. And maybe that's you. If that's your case, well, my heart goes out to you. I'm thinking about you during this time. And remember, there's lots of other people in your situation. You're not alone. And to get out there, even if it's hard, force yourself to get out there and interact with people, the community, because really it's all about people, isn't it? Isn't everything comes down to people and community, and human beings are happier when we're together, when we're surrounded by loved ones. Doesn't always feel that way. Sometimes you get in the political arguments around the holiday table or the Christmas table or the Hanukkah table, right? People argue, people debate, and people talk passionately, at least in my family. I don't know about yours. And I think it's a happy thing. It's also good to take a step back and just realize how blessed you are if you were able to celebrate with loved ones over this holiday season. It's a very special thing. And sometimes it's worth it to just not be right. We don't always have to be right. As a political junkie, I like to have the last word. Probably why I started a political podcast, right? But when I'm with my friends and my family, I think it's healthy when I take a step back and I try to learn their thought process so I can have a better thought process myself. Similarly, with this podcast, I'm on Twitter a lot, and I take a lot of messages, I take calls, and have guests on the show, because it's important for me not to be isolated in this little tiny bubble, but to stay connected to the world. And it's a helpful thing. I hope it's helpful for you, but also it's helpful for me, because when we have a crisis like we have in this country, from the health crisis to the housing crisis to the immigration crisis to the military-industrial complex crisis to the geoengineering crisis, chemtrail crisis. What are chemtrails, you might ask? It's getting a lot of attention. Chemtrails are. Former CIA Director John Brennan recently talked about stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI. This is a geoengineering strategy to reduce climate change. And it's spreading on Twitter, this clip of John Brennan. It's being shared and retweeted. It's shocking and it's horrifying hearing him talk about stratospheric aerosol injection. I'm going to play you the clip. This is from 2016 at the Council of Foreign Relations in Washington, D.C. Again, former CIA Director John Brennan. Take a listen to this horrifying clip.
Potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels.
What could possibly go wrong with stratospheric aerosol injection? There's a lot of people out there, maybe you're one of them, concerned that this is happening right now and we're not being told. It's true. You see, chemtrails are those lines left in the sky when airplanes fly. You know what I'm talking about. The white line, it looks like exhaust, kind of like a cloud streak They call them chemtrails. And there's a lot of discussion, and it's labeled a conspiracy theory that these chemtrails might be, in fact, a version at least of SAI or some other kind of geoengineering technology in the aims of reducing the global temperature. Now, if you hear John Brennan, even he says that it wouldn't solve climate change. It would only buy us some time if the technology were to work. And that's assuming that you agree with the people, much of them ideologically influenced, telling you that there's only 10 years left, when in reality, it's a very slow process that we will have time to mitigate and react to. It's not what they say. They say we have to change our entire way of life. We have to give up capitalism, switch to communism. That's the only way to save the planet. In fact, even Lily Tomlin, and you're saying, who's Lily Tomlin? Well, she's an Academy Award-nominated actress. She's recently arrested on the Capitol, along with Jane Fonda, because she's... It's just mind-boggling and crazy. It shuts down my thought process that she would even argue that to save the planet, you really have to stop cutting down Christmas trees. And that's the main problem with climate change and environmental catastrophe is the Christmas tree crisis, cutting down Christmas trees. And you really should get plastic trees. Get plastic trees. Don't cut down a real tree. And in fact, plastic trees are worse for the environment. Okay, now the whole thing is a drop in the bucket when you're really thinking about the pollution and the plastics and the ocean. We are facing an environmental catastrophe. Yes, it's true, but not the one you think of. It's not a raising of a couple degrees that's going to cause a catastrophe. It's the fact we have so much pollution in our oceans, and we're all focused on plastic Christmas trees and plastic straws. And nobody's shining a light on the giant corporate interests that are pouring in a huge amount of pollution. They want to focus on us. That it's our plastic straws, it's our grocery bags causing the crisis. When we all know it's China, it's India, it's Africa, and it's these giant corporations that are polluting the environment. It's not everyday folks just trying to enjoy a holiday Christmas tradition, going out, cutting down a tree, by the way, in a farm that's grown for this precise purpose. I don't know what Lily Tomlin thinks people go into a forest and are cutting down trees. That's illegal. It doesn't happen unless it's in some, I don't know, Wyoming or something where they have lots of trees and it's fine. But most people go to their local Christmas tree farm, and you're saying, Dan, you're Jewish. What do you know about this? Well, my wife is Catholic, and if we had room for it, we would get a real tree. But it presents all these problems. There's bugs, and then we don't have much space for it. It takes up a lot of space. And so we get a plastic tree, but I don't feel bad about that. Not for a second. I don't feel bad. I don't feel like I'm killing the environment because my shower is 20 minutes and not 10 minutes, or because I didn't turn up my thermostat to, I put up the 70 instead of 67 because I don't want to shiver in my own house. Do you think the rich globalists, Silicon Valley, Hollywood, celebrity types, oh yeah, they turn it down to 67. No, they have it whatever temperature they want. They leave all the lights on. They take hour-long showers. They have heated pools to 100 degrees. Nobody's telling them they should live more moderately. Instead, they're all telling us how to live. It's a bunch of BS. They're hypocrites and they're phonies. And if Lily Tomlin really cared about environmentalism, she would have done an ounce worth of research before she opened her stupid mouth and told people not to buy a Christmas tree or cut down a Christmas tree. It's idiotic. And it's laughable that this is protesting in 2019. She got arrested. And there's an article written up about it. The police are just tired of this charade where a handful of people stay on the Capitol steps, get arrested. Lily Tomlin's one of them. She's 80 years old. Who is she? No one's heard of her. But she has a Netflix special with Jane Fonda. So she needs to do the publicity, do the rounds, but she can't get on any of the shows because no one's ever heard of her since 1968. So she goes to the Capitol and she argues that you should not cut down a Christmas tree without doing any research. Even Jane Fonda said, wait a minute, Lily Tomlin, you're wrong. You're wrong about this. Even Jane Fonda had to correct her because of how loony she is. So they're just laughing at it. You think the celebrities really care about any of the nonsense that they're preaching? Their social justice campaigns are all PR and publicity. They don't give an ounce worth of thought into any of this. So I wonder, is Lily Tomlin still in jail? Probably not. She got released right away. That's fine. Her net worth is $15 million. So she has the resources to buy 100 plastic Christmas trees, I guess, if she wanted to. So go ahead and do that, or don't. But don't tell us what to do. By the way, I'm curious what you think about this. As a kid growing up in California, I'm Jewish, and we didn't have much Hanukkah stuff. In the 1980s, there were some Happy Hanukkahs, but not really. I think the year 2000, it started changing, and I noticed people would start saying Happy Hanukkah. And in the commercials, people would advertise Hanukkah products, or you'd see more cultural acceptance of Judaism, and almost like Hanukkah was a part of Christmas in an interesting way. I don't know if you get that vibe at all, but I feel like Judaism has really been incorporated into the American culture in a beautiful way that's really noticeable within my own lifetime of about 35 years. It's incredible to see that change. And I'm such a big fan of Christmas. I love the lights. I love the music. I love the movies. And even before I married my wife, I really loved Christmas because I feel it's so Americana. It's American. And I love that about it. Hanukkah is very American. You even know they don't really celebrate Hanukkah in Israel. It's a very American Jewish holiday, is Hanukkah. And it's a beautiful thing that it's become Americanized, in my opinion, because I'm an American. And my suggestion to groups that have recently come to this country is to wait it out if you feel like your culture is not being included in the American melting pot of cultures. Because it happened for Judaism, it happened for Hanukkah. And instead of saying happy holidays and being so afraid to say Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or Happy Kwanzaa or Ramadan even, why not? Why not? It takes some time for the culture to become part of America, but when it happens, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it can't be expected to happen overnight. That's silly. I mean, what do you think about this chemtrail stuff? Do you fear they're pumping chemicals into the stratosphere to help with climate change? What a horrible, horrible idea. What could be, for instance, the side effects, let's say if it rains, or on the ozone? Remember the ozone layer? I thought they had to get rid of aerosol sprays because of the ozone layer. Are you telling me this aerosol injection is not a problem for the ozone, or maybe we just don't care about the ozone anymore. I don't know. It seems to me we shouldn't mess up our environment by trying to fix it. That's stupid. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, the effects of climate change are so slow moving, that to risk a stratospheric catastrophe in order to buy another couple years when it's all a lie anyway, that we only have 10 years is the biggest crock of shit to peddle their own socialist politics. That's what this is. It's become ideological. It's no longer a question of science. It's a question of ideology. It's not pragmatism anymore. And so when you have that level of hysteria, and I'm not the only one that uses that word. In fact, lots of people are using this word hysteria. Michael Savage wrote a whole book on it. Then you have people who are actually going to come up with these ideas, like pumping massive amounts of aerosols into the stratosphere, and this is going to get traction. This is actually going to get people's attention to think it's a good idea, because you've all been brainwashed into thinking the world's going to end, so we might as well try. It's worth the risk because of how bad the situation is. And that's just simply not the case. You know, this is almost as stupid as the idea of bringing an asteroid into orbit around the Earth, which is what some private companies are trying to do. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with bringing a giant asteroid into Earth orbit? You think, why would they even want to do that? Well, apparently there are lots of precious minerals inside an asteroid that if you were to mine, well, we're talking about billions of dollars of precious metals are believed to be inside most common asteroids. So, of course, you're going to have private companies that are going to try to get these asteroids in orbit to mine them. And again, this is a type of thing that could lead to a catastrophe. Why mess around with it? By the same token, Elon Musk, he's sending up these tiny satellites, thousands of, they call them micro satellites, into space. What could go wrong? Why is this person, one guy, one rich guy who got his money in banking and then decided to be an inventor, an Edison type? He's not this super genius guy. He's a PayPal executive. And he's made up to be some sexy Thomas Edison genius? Give me a break. He's sending up thousands of microsatellites. It's going to block out the sky. It's going to cause huge problems for the Space Force and for NASA. So that he can do what? Give internet to more Teslas is probably the end goal. Just make a network of Tesla internet. And there are no rules or laws or anything stopping the super mega corrupt globalists from railroading the rest of the country out of everything. If you have 1,000 microsatellites in space, there's no room for anybody else. It's full. He got there first. He's monopolized space. They're going to let that happen. They're going to let that happen just like they let the companies monopolize the internet, just like they let the entertainment industry be monopolized. The mainstream media has been completely monopolized. So you have two corporations that control essentially 90% of the news you see. Am I exaggerating? Yes. But will it get to be that bad? Yes. Is this the trend? Yes. And amidst all this, amidst all the crisis, the housing crisis, the immigration crisis, the endless war crisis, you still have these old geezers, elitist, globalist, military-industrial complex types, deep state hacks, arguing for more war, saying that the way to get out of the crisis is to enter a new crisis, and demeaning and degrading our troops as they do it. I want you to listen to this from retired General Barry McCaffrey talking today on MSNBC, December 28th. Listen to this clip. It's enraging to me.
That special operations community whose courage and dedication has kept us from having a dozen more 9/11s. They've been out there in combat for 19 years. It's time to recheck their system of discipline. I think there's too much disturbing evidence of malfeasance on the part of the special ops community.
I mean, give me a break. I thought he was going to say it's time to bring them home. It's time to bring the troops home. When you send them halfway across the world to defend America, they're going to do some bad shit on behalf of our country to keep us safe. It's not even that they're doing bad shit. It's that in the chaos of war, bad stuff happens. It can't be avoided. That's why we don't send people to war unless we absolutely have to, and why we have 19 years of Middle East war, and you have people serving that never knew a time when there wasn't Middle East war. American Middle East war. What the hell are we doing over there 19 years later? And what the hell did you get those facts that there's been 12 9/11s avoided? Where did you get that, sir? I'd like to see that fact. Where's that citation? They don't care about citations if they believe with the message. And this is the same on Fox News as MSNBC, as CNN. They do not care about the citation unless it is against what they believe, and then they'll find the citation to tell you why it's wrong. But if it backs up, if it's confirming a point they're trying to make, 12 9/11s have been averted. Next thing you know, that's going to be on the front page of the New York Times. 12 9/11s have been avoided, which is insanity. Okay, look. Do we need special forces? Do we need drones? Do we need a space force? Yes. But do we need hundreds of thousands of troops stationed all across the world? Do we need hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars during a time when it should be peacetime? Give me a break. Acting like it's World War III over here with defense contractors building plans for the war that never happened. A whole generation of planes that never get called up to battle because by the time World War III happens, they'll be obsolete. The amount of money that's being wasted on corruption in this country is mind-boggling. It's why we had to create the Space Force. Because if you spent this money, if you let the Air Force or another military branch take control, you think that they would help create a Space Force technology that would replace the military bases across the world? There's way too much money, way too much political interest to develop technology that would make military bases irrelevant. Okay? That's what Space Force is doing. You have to understand, they're building planes that can bring military Marines anywhere in the world in under 1 hour. So when you have that capability, you no longer need military bases. You can send anybody you want anywhere in the world in under an hour. You don't need to have a huge refueling stations and a whole apparatus of this kind of thing. You just take off when you need to go and get the job done. So the Space Force has been built with that mission, and the technology that they have is anyone's guess. It's leaps and bounds ahead of anything they've announced. But this was one thing that got a lot of people's attention, being able to send anywhere in the world in under an hour. It's crazy. Okay, finally, I want to wrap up this episode with what's happening to America's middle class. You know, over here in California, it looks like we don't even have a middle class. We have a dwindling professional class. We have a lot of poor people, and then we'll have the elites, the Silicon Valley, the celebrities, the Hollywood elites. Yeah, we got those. And we got a lot of poor people. Then we got the professional middle class. But they're being replaced. If you're a professional doctor, it's getting squeezed. You're getting squeezed. Doctors are getting squeezed. Attorneys are getting squeezed. The professionals are getting squeezed like never before. And they're being replaced. They're being replaced by H-1Bs. Make no mistake about it. The H-1B abuse is horrible. And it's affecting all the big metro regions, would be my guess. It's especially hit hard in San Francisco. And you have a professional class that's shrinking and it's being replaced. So, you have a small cottage in Palo Alto goes for $2.5 million. And if you want to go, an hour and a half outside San Francisco, you get a townhouse for $800K. I mean, that thing's going to buy you a mansion in other parts of the country, but in California, $800K buys you a little townhouse and a little one in a rural area, hour and a half outside San Fran. That's not sustainable. Did they not think about what would happen? If somebody was born in the 1980s in California, where might they live once they graduate college and do everything they're supposed to do? Get a good job. Where are they going to live now? I mean, we're talking about the person who did what they were supposed to do, worked hard, got a good education, and there's nowhere to live. Unless you want to live in the ghetto. You can live in a ghetto, yeah, afford a house in the ghetto. Sure. Or you could move 3 hours to Death Valley. I guess you could afford something nice over there, but there's no jobs over there. People are, by the way, commuting in California 2-3 hours just to clerk at a Petco job. Not to single out Petco, but I'm just saying at a grocery store, whatever. I talk to people. I'm talking to people, and they're telling me, they're not complaining. They're blessed. Look, this is a country of people that feel blessed. We're not a country of complainers. That's not what this is about. But by the same token, people are angry because they're saying, wait a minute. I can't even afford a house. I have to move. I have to move my only home, the place I grew up. Can't live in California anymore, and I'll never be able to return. That's the reality. And who's moving into the state, by the way? The super rich and the H-1Bs, and they've sold out the middle class. And that's happening again and again in all the metro regions across the country, by the way. It's one ideology. Do I have to say that the Democrats have fucked up the inner cities? They've fucked up the metro areas that they've been in charge of? Well, they certainly have. And by the same token, have the Republicans not fucked up the rural communities that they've been in charge of? Well, they certainly have. And why is anybody then surprised that Donald Trump became president and is likely to win 2020 and won't be impeached? Because he's popular? Because he's saying the shit that you won't say? Maybe you'll say it, but they won't. And you're applauding him, not because he's perfect, because he has your back and he's making those elites afraid. They're making them re-question what's going on in this country, how upset people really are, why they're really upset. And guess what? They're going to have to listen to us and they're going to have to learn from us, because after 2020, there's going to be some real soul searching. You can bet on that one.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast.